What did you ask? Oh, why did I go to Louisiana? Okay,
Yes.
I went to Louisiana because I wanted to go to the Louisiana Center for the Blind, which is a training center that teaches blind people, how to become independent.
Why did you choose to go down to Louisiana to study as opposed to staying here in the state of Maryland?
Well, at the time, Louisiana, from the information that I was given, was one of the best training centers in the country. And so that's what led me to go there. I wanted to go to the best place in order to get the skills that I needed.
Describe your life in Ruston before Hurricane Katrina. What was the social climate like in terms of racial equality and in terms of equality for the blind?
Well, I mean, racially, Louisiana, at least the area in which I live, it felt like a throwback to the 60s. At least that was my impression when I first went there. There's a fairly decent sized population of black people living in low income situations. And then a lot of the people who have the money and the influence are not black. And it's a nice town. The people are very nice. You don't meet a stranger. Everybody's very friendly. And so it's the kind of place where people are probably friendly, and then when you walk out of the door, they kind of start whispering amongst themselves. And that attitude seems to exist amongst black as well as white people. I think maybe it's just a Ruston type of thing. But the people are very nice and very helpful.
Were there other ethnic groups that lived in the town as well, like Asian, Hispanic?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of diversity going on there because it's a college town. You got Louisiana Tech, and then Grambling University is right up the road. So, you do have that level of diversity. But it's a small town kind of atmosphere, and so if you're not from there, it doesn't matter if you're black or white or whatever you are. If you're not from there, you're kind of an outsider. People will always be very friendly to you, treat you very nice. But if you're not one of them, you'll never be one of them. If you understand what I mean when I say that. Very cliquish type of mentality.
Okay.
I found that to be true with black people because I thought once I went and I was around black people, I would have been accepted more. And they were friendly, but I never became a part of the group. And then it was the same way around white folks, same kind of attitude. A lot of the people that I probably had my closest relationships with were co-workers, most of which are white. And then the best friends that I had there was a white female and a Mexican couple when I was there as a student. Well, not as a student, but once I became an employee there.
Although Ruston is in northern Louisiana, was there a significant change that you remember in the weather during Hurricane Katrina as opposed to the activity down in New Orleans?
No, and that doesn't mean that there wasn't a significant change. I don't remember it because during that time I was either glued to the television or on the phone talking to people that I knew who were in New Orleans who were actually going through Katrina. My attention and my focus was there with them. So I don't even remember what the weather was like in Ruston at that time.
What was your initial reaction upon hearing about the aftermath in New Orleans and of the ill treatment and displacement of its citizens?
I mean, I was upset. I cried, I worried, I was angry, and I had a mixture of emotions going on. People that a lot of those people are people that they were students in the program when I was there. They were students in the program once I became an employee, and I had built relationships with them. I had known a lot of them for years, and so to know someone that's going through something like that and not be able to physically go to them to help them, it was very hurtful. It was not a happy time.
When displaced citizens were looking for shelter, did they come to Ruston? If yes, did your organization take part? If so, how?
Yes, they did come to Ruston. And yes, my organization did take part. And what we did, the Louisiana Center for the Blind is a residential training program for blind adults. And so the students there live there for 6 to 9 months in their own apartments. In addition to that, they have other housing where people can stay who may come as guests. And there were, I think we had like 4 townhouses. There were 4 bedrooms each, and they were empty. And so when we got in contact with the students who had gone through and their families through our training program, they were invited to come up and stay in the townhomes that were across from the apartments.
Describe life in Ruston after Hurricane Katrina. Were the citizens able to return to New Orleans or find permanent residence elsewhere? And did the town go back to normal afterwards?
Describe life after Hurricane Katrina.
In Ruston.
In Ruston after Hurricane Katrina. Well, I mean, it took a while. We had guests for, I want to say, 2 or 3 months, maybe a little bit longer. And after something like that, things don't go back. They just go on, if you know what I mean. It did something. There was a change because you had a whole new population of people who had come to the area. And you saw that any place you went, any businesses that you went into, I also worked at a veterinary hospital, so we got a lot of the animals from Katrina. And it was a continuation of that kind of thing. Just people coming and looking for shelter, looking for care, looking for work, looking for help for a good long while. And some left eventually and some decided to stay. But it definitely changed Ruston because you had a whole nother dynamic that had come into the town of people. A whole nother mentality had entered into the town. So I don't think it went back. I think we just went on.
Okay, Ms. Evans, thank you very much for your participation in this interview.